Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, West Coast Weather Watch. It is January 21st, and right now we are looking at the infrared satellite imagery here, and you can see our low pressure system developing off the Washington coastline here. It's going to pack a little bit of a punch with it here. It's got a strong gradient mainly on the southern side here, moving into the Washington coast. Some wind advisories are in effect here. Then we'll take a look at what's coming up this week as we're going to build some ridging over the area here, then potentially start to move some colder air down towards the Pacific Northwest here in the extended forecast. We'll take a look at the very extended forecast as well. Some storms may return to the west coast well off in towards early February here, in effect all the way down through California even. Now, taking a look here at Portland National Weather Service, talking about that system moving in here. They do not have wind advisories up for the southwest Washington coast or the northwest Oregon coast. I probably would do that, but maybe they know better than I do. We'll see. But this storm looks like it's packing a little bit of punch right there on the south side, even though those winds are localized coming up here. But some nice snowfall for the higher terrain as well, especially the southern Washington Cascades and the northern Oregon Cascades. This is National Weather Service Seattle. Wind advisory is up for the coastline there, and this is where their forecast office cuts off and where Portland picks up. So kind of an interesting discrepancy there. Now looking, you could get some gusts in towards Tacoma, Olympia as well, Port Townsend, Friday Harbor area up there. You could get some gusts through San Juans as well, but the wind advisory does include Whidbey Island as well, shown there. Now, this is sneaker waves here. Watch out because we got the king tides going on here, and there is going to be some swell associated with that system coming in here with those winds as well. Watch out. Don't turn your back on the ocean if you're out there beachcombing or whatever you may be doing out there on the coastline. Watch from a safe distance today. That swell is going to come in pretty quickly here as you go through the day today, so watch out. This is just showing the king tides going all the way down, of course, across the California coastline down there, and watch out for some of the swell moving down towards that area. Also, check your local areas for high tide and low tide times, so you could get some coastal flooding there as well. This is for Eureka, California, so just watch out. Be aware that those king tides are coming here through Monday, and there's going to be some swells moving down the coastline. Now, looking at this wider view of things here, 700 millibars, 10,000 feet. European model did really well showing this low pressure development here, really outclassed the other models here. Picked this up, quite a ways in advance, almost 2 days in advance over some of the other models there. So there goes the first system here. Another weak system will clip the area as we go on in through Monday. Then we build some ridging here, but then watch what happens as this ridge starts to retrograde here. We start to allow for some colder northerly flow here, and you can see the cold air start to move down through BC towards Pacific Northwest, shown here on in through the 10-day period, and that could eventually bring some storms to California as well. What will the trajectory be here? Will we get any lowland snow? Those are questions that's kind of up in the air right now. No promises as of yet. Now, taking a look here, the NAM 3 cam versus the HER 3 cam on the right, you'll see all the models are now picking up on that low pressure system again that the Europeans showed well in advance of any other model here. Pretty good pressure gradient on the south side of that. That's why the wind advisories are up and why we're watching out for some gusty winds, especially along the southwest Washington coastline there. Now, taking a look here, you got the European on the left, GFS on the right, just showing you that the models are showing that low pressure system there. And you can see pretty tight gradient there on the southwest Washington coastline there. Now, taking a look here, this is the UW model here, and if we look closely, you can kind of see those winds coming along mainly north of ocean shores according to the UW GFS model here. Gusty winds across Whidbey Island, Port Townsend area there, and then you can see a bit of a westerly surge behind this frontal system as well. And models have kind of backed off a little bit on that recently. You can see some gusty winds through Seattle here as well. I mean, some of this showing up towards 40 knots around the area. So be prepared for that across the Seattle metro as well, Tacoma, Olympia, as we get that southwesterly surge. If the GFS is right, and this is a little bit further north, that surge is going to travel up towards the Seattle metro on in through the day today. Now, this is looking at the European versus itself. You can see the strong localized winds here for the southwest Washington coastline there. Gusts into the 60s are possible here for Long Beach down towards Cape Disappointment, even including Astoria 50 plus. Could include ocean shores as well. And you can see there's some discrepancy here. The track of this low is going to mean everything, as you can see some higher gusts moving up the coastline here on the European. And you can see the strong southwesterlies kind of moving towards Seattle here, but not quite making it on the last couple of runs here. So heads up for that. And of course, the gusty winds across Whidbey Island towards San Juan County there, Port Townsend area as well. Now taking a look at the frontal system itself, you can see some nice snowfall coming for the Cascades. So Oregon, Washington here could get some residual convergence zone activity on through Sunday morning across some of the central Cascades as well. Will help to build up some of the snowfall total there. Northeast Oregon, nice snowfall coming up here as well. So heads up for that. Now, this is looking at the Canadian high resolution as well. You can see, again, the bullseye for southern Washington Cascades, northern Oregon Cascades, maybe some residual convergent zone activity keeping the snow going on in through Sunday morning here, and good amounts for northwest Oregon, northeast Oregon there. Some of the higher terrain of BC is going to make out well with this system also as far as snow. This is a National Weather Service Spokane put this out. They upticked some of these amounts. You can see Ritzville, Moses Lake kind of getting in on that action as well. So heads up if you're traveling on I-90. And I don't have to tell you, there's good snowfall amounts coming for Stevenson and Snoqualmie Pass there. And the further you go out of Spokane towards Lookout Pass, there's some big amounts as well as Southwest Washington shown there. So heads up, doesn't take much to make the road slick across Highway 2 and I-90 there. This is for Missoula, Montana there. You can see the panhandle, western Montana, gusty winds, variable travel conditions out there. Watch out. It's going to affect places out into Idaho and Montana as well. This is for Pocatello, Idaho down there. Pocatello could get 1 to 2 inches here through Sunday, and you can see some of the higher terrain doing a little bit better here. And, not a huge snowstorm there, but it can cause some issues. Now, this is looking at the swell. Check it out. It's pretty calm on the coastline as of this morning, but it's going to pick up pretty quickly here. And you can see the swell with that system moving into the southwest Washington, central Washington, northwest Oregon coastline. Some of that swell does move down California coastline as well. With the king tides, could be kind of some nuisance flooding going on, so heads up for that. And then kind of a break coming Monday for Washington, as there's still a decent north swell moving down the California coastline, though it doesn't look like it will impact the immediate coast too much there. And then maybe some swell off in through mid next week, and then some breaks back and forth there. But now looking at Seattle, Tacoma, this is the ensemble run. You can see mid 30s here on the control, but the ensemble still have some higher gusts in here. So heads up, there's that potential for a gust up towards 40 miles per hour across some of the Seattle metro shown there. And then we get a break as we go through midweek coming up here. This is Hoquiam Airport out here. You can see some of these gusts well up over 50 miles per hour, but you can see lower amounts also in there. Depends on the track of that low pressure system there. This is Quileute, a little bit further north here. The European, says blustery, but not too windy up there. Astoria, check this out. There's a lot of ensembles up over 50 miles per hour, even the control saying upper 40s there. So heads up for that. We'll see if the National Weather Service Portland puts out a wind advisory. I'd be surprised if they didn't, actually. But now taking a look at the extended forecast. This is last night's European run, 850 millibars here. We're looking at temperature anomaly. So there goes our system initially here. You'll notice the ridge builds off the shoreline here. Watch it start to back up here, though, as we go on in through Thursday late morning here. You can see that north flow starting to develop here, the colder air across Alaska and the Yukon here. And you can see this colder air start to move down over British Columbia here as we go on in through the weekend. Pretty cold over BC here. Some of this getting out over the coastline here and wrapping back into the west coast here. So there's going to be some interesting scenarios if this comes into fruition here. You can see the cold air here across the Pacific Northwest. And this is coming up this weekend. So we'll pay attention this week on what this storm system is doing here, and we'll try to nail down some details as we get a little bit closer. Here's the Canadian model. There goes the initial system there that we're dealing with now. Ridge builds over the Pacific Ocean here, and watch as this backs off the coastline there, and we get some north flow starting to come down there, and you'll notice the colder air coming across British Columbia. They're wrapping back into the west coast of Oregon, California. There's some pretty chilly air there across British Columbia here as we go on into the following weekend there. So that's what we're going to be watching here as we go through the week. So stick with me here day by day, and we'll continue to watch it. GFS, one more look at things there. There goes the initial system. The ridge is building offshore here, starts to back up. Pretty good model agreement on this ridge retrograding here and allowing this north flow to bring down some colder air on in through next weekend. And you can see it even on the GFS here as we go on in towards the 10-day period. Some pretty chilly air around. So we'll continue to watch that for now. Looking at the ensembles, though, you can see there is no promise here of any kind of a snowstorm yet. We do not know the details here. We do not know what the chances are for lowland snow. We just know we have an enhanced signal for it towards the end of the month and on in through early February there. So we're going to continue to watch that day by day. There is no signal to pick up on yet. There is no Arctic forecast, in your future just yet. This is Vancouver. You can see some bigger amounts of snowfall in here, but some of the ensembles don't have anything at all. So we're just kind of playing. We're just waiting and seeing right now. This is the Canadian showing that Pacific North American negative again. European, same thing. Signal is there towards the end of the month into early February. And now this is down towards Southern California. Watch out. There's a high wind watch for some of these Santa Ana winds coming across the region there. Some of them could get up towards 60, 70 miles per hour. This would be Sunday night towards Monday afternoon here. Watch out. Power outages, blowing dust, tree damage, high profile vehicles. Watch out down there. And this would be the map. NAM 3KM. We put this into motion. You can see the big winds starting up here as you go on in through Sunday night. Look at some of these gusts moving out over the coastal areas here up over 50 miles per hour. So just a heads up for that for Southern California here. And what causes the Santa Ana wind? So put this into motion here, and you can see the system going through the Pacific Northwest here. And watch this high pressure start to build back in across Oregon, Nevada, Utah here. So it's that high pressure here, and this big dome of air wants to flow outwards, and it does so towards the coastline here, and it moves over the terrain here, and it compresses and warms and dries out as it gets out towards the coastline. That's why the Santa Anas are so dry along the Southern California coastline, because it's been compressed and pushed out towards the coastline here, and it's got no moisture to work with. So it's very dry air by the time it gets out of the coastline there. But yeah, that high pressure building in over the region there is what spurs those Santa Ana winds. Now taking a look one more time at the California precipitation, I want to show you outside of Big Sur. Look at this swath of area that got 30 plus inches of precipitation here along the coastline there. Pretty impressive. This is the Bay Area here. A lot of areas got 20 plus inches in the higher terrain, especially there. And looking down towards Santa Cruz here, check out some of these areas, 36 inches of precipitation here from December 26th through January 17th. Very impressive set of storms that went through California there. And it looks like it's going to get active again here towards the end of the month here into early February. So we'll watch that for you day by day. And again, I like looking at this, the drought monitor. This is before and after. Look at this. We had some exceptional extreme drought across the state here. That's been totally wiped out here. Doing much better drought-wise here across the state. Let's hope we can continue that on in through the later portions of January into early February and knock some of this drought down even more. And one more look at things here. This is 24-hour running total precipitation. The ridge kind of dries things out along the west coast for the most part. Some of that cold air trying to spawn a little bit of precipitation here in the Pacific Northwest, and it moves down through California as well. So California is going to start to get some precipitation chances here as we go on in through early February, as well as the rest of the West Coast here. So we probably will return to at least a bit more active weather here for California through the extended forecast. But anyway, yeah, watch out if you're on the Washington coastline there and some portions of the interior, also Northwest Oregon coastline. Nice snowfall coming for the higher terrain. Be ready for those winter driving conditions as well. Watch out for those king tides and some of that surf moving around, some of that swell and those bigger waves and sneaker waves along the coastline there too. But anyway, I'm kind of interested to see what next weekend brings. We're going to watch that system closely. It looks like some colder air will be setting up shop here across British Columbia and the Pacific Northwest here as we go through next weekend into the early following next week here. We're starting to get a little bit more confidence on the timing of that coming up here, but still no details are available as of yet. So anyway, yeah, we'll do this again tomorrow. I'll probably live stream next Tuesday, and we'll take a look at that cold air moving down across North America here in more detail. We'll know a lot more by then as well. I work the next few days here, so I won't be able to live stream until then. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a good day. Click like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later.